I was watching this video of this lady called Angie on IG, and she was talking about the way she was walking in Buruburu a few days ago, and some kid riding a bike just came and smacked her behind, and then laughed and rode off a few meters and slapped another lady's behind, and then just rode off completely. And she was talking about how this kind of assault has happened to her multiple times when she's just out and about doing her business. It's even happened to her mom. And I was watching this video about this lady called Tanya Patney, who was talking about the way she was raped by these guys who dragged her, and they filmed the rape. And I'm like, what kind of world is this we're living in? Humanity is broken. What kind of world is this we're living in? But let me talk about something. Whenever you hear about these cases of sexual abuse, you have to ask yourself, who raised these men who do? Like, where did you learn to do this? Like this, where did you get the guts to even think that you could go and, cross that boundary and do what you want with a woman just because you're a man? Where did you learn to do that? Who taught you that? Who taught you have a right over a woman's body just because you're a man? Where did we learn that? And let me talk about something that we don't talk about as men, and that's male privilege. Because think about it this way: you and me as a man, we can wake up in the morning or whatever hour, leave the house, go do our business, walk around in town, dress however we want, just do our thing and come back home without fear of sexual harassment or assault or indecent assault or anything like that happening to us. For a woman, for her to leave the house, she first has to think about so many things, all the possibilities that could happen that could cause her to be harassed on the road. You can wake up and go and jog at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at night. A woman can't do that. So that's privilege. And privilege is interesting because when you have it, when you have privilege, most of the time you don't even know you have privilege. You don't know until somebody points it out to you. And even when they point it out to you, because they are talking from a point where not having the privilege you have has put them in a position that can even endanger their lives. But because you've never experienced that, you don't think that it's something that happens. So for most men, they don't think, which privilege? See, even me, I can be robbed on the road. Yeah, everyone can be robbed on the road, but you as a man, chances are you will not be sexually harassed on the road. You will not have people catcalling you. You will not have people trying to grab your boobs or your ass on the road. And if you think about it, and the privilege that men have that we don't even acknowledge we have, is crazy. Think about just being able to go to work and do your job, finish your work and go home. For a man, that's as a given. I'll go to work, I'll hustle, I'll go home. For a woman, there's so many of them who have to contend with, first of all, doing a job that is stressful, and then trying to avoid a boss who's hitting on you, a colleague's unwanted advances, people trying to grope you in the office, people trying to, Now, you imagine that you've just gone to work, you're trying to get your job done, you're trying to get your work done for the day, but there's somebody there who's trying to harass you, somebody there who's telling you that, if you don't give in to the advances, they'll make sure you don't get promoted, they'll sabotage your work, they'll, go behind your back to the boss, or if it's the boss, they're going to fire you, and you're thinking, I'm here trying to put food on the table, I'm here trying to hustle, I just want to be left alone to work. I just want to be left alone. Just leave me alone and let me work. Can you imagine going through that kind of environment? First of all, your job is already stressful. Mtu mwingine anakuongezea stress zingine za ujinga. Can you think about how that would make you feel? And I was talking to somebody and she was telling me that, like her, she leaves the house with earphones on. Not because she's enjoying the music. She's living with earphones on because she doesn't want to hear men talking about her or catcalling her on the road as she walks about doing her business. She doesn't want to hear guys talking about how she looks. She doesn't want to hear guys, making derogatory comments about the way she's dressed. She doesn't want to hear that kind of shit. She just wants to walk around, do her thing, go home. But imagine, for her, leaving the house, she has to put all those things into consideration in her mind, whereas you and I as a man, we just wake up and go. Isn't that privilege? Isn't that male privilege? that you and I can just walk around and feel safe, and that's crazy. And where do men learn that they can have the right over women's bodies and do these sorts of things? Where do men think that women want to be talked to and about this way? And I think one of the problems is men find out about how to talk to women from other men who don't know what they're talking about. If you want to know how to talk to a woman and the things that are creepy and sound rapey, ask a woman. So you have a woman you have a friend who's a woman. Go and sit with her. Ask her. If I told you this as a girl, if I approached you this way, or I made this kind of comment, how would it make you feel? Find out, ask her, and you'll be shocked. Half the things that you thought was spitting game are actually just rapey comments and harassment. You'll be really shocked. So, and think about it. Who created this world, this insecurity, this unsafe environment? It's men, and not all men are this way. I know some men who are fantastic people. I know a lot of men who are really great people. But the fact that not enough of us men are talking about this, sort of creates a problem, because if we're not talking about it, then aren't we part of the problem also? So I just want us as men to have this conversation about what are the things that we could do to make this world a bit of a safer place for women. Because there are men who created these situations. And I think men should be the ones to lead in changing this environment that is so unsafe and so insecure for women. Because let me tell you, man, I would hate to live in a world where I couldn't wake up and go and jog at 5 or 6 in the morning or in the evening because some guy might try to grope me or rape me. I wouldn't want to live in a world where I can't just go out and club because I'm scared someone might spike my drinks and try to sexually assault me. I wouldn't want to live in a world where I can't just work in the office the way I want to because my boss is hitting on me and is threatening to fire me because I've refused their sexual advances. I wouldn't want to live in a world where I just can't be myself. I can't just live freely because somebody has created an environment where I feel unsafe and insecure, and it's not any of my fault. Can you imagine how crazy it is to live in such a world? Well, women live that world every day, and guess who created it? Some men. So, not all men are bad, but all men need to get into this conversation about what we could do to make this world a bit safer and more secure for women and for everybody.